Carla, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Before seeing Gunpowder Milkshake, I thought, Carla's a complete badass. And then I watched the movie. I was like, yeah, now she's even more of a badass. So congrats on just being an all-around badass.
I mean, you're making my day.
That's actually, that was all the material I had. Just letting you know. So
It's been nice. It's been nice talking.
It's been great catching up. I wondered, this movie is so ambitious. It's so stylized. The tone is so unique. It's a little bit of comedy and satire, but it's an authentic action film. And so I wanted to know, at what point in the project did you know, okay, I have to be involved with this? Was it from early on, as soon as you read the script? Was it your co-stars, the director, the descriptions? When did you say, I have to get involved in this movie?
It's funny because it was sort of cumulative, but basically I saw the title and I was like, I think I want to be a part of this. And then I had a really great Zoom with Navot, our illustrious writer director, when he was in Tel Aviv and I was in New York. And we started talking about, he's so influenced by Quentin and also by Robert Rodriguez, who I've worked with a lot. And so there was a certain kind of aesthetic that I knew, was going to be a part of the movie. And obviously it's very unique to him. It is his own stamp, but influenced by great filmmakers, as most great filmmakers are influenced by their previous, their predecessors. So then I was really intrigued. We just had a great connection, and I kind of want to really just help him realize his movie. I really wanted to just help him bring his vision to the screen. And at that time, Lena and Karen were attached. And so I was super excited about that. And then, Angela and Michelle and I were coming on all around the same time. And I just thought, I can't imagine a greater group of people. So it just felt immediately like this is something I want to jump into right away. And we also shot it in Berlin, which was super cool.
Right.
There's something that's wonderful when everybody's away from home, because you don't have all the responsibilities of just like taking your dog out or dealing with kids or, various people's life stuff.
It's like a summer camp.
It is. So that aspect, it was really fun too.
Well, and you talked about wanting to help realize Navet's vision. So as far as collaborating was concerned, what's so cool is the film hints at this larger mythos, but only really gives you exactly what you need for this story. So was there a lot of collaboration with him to develop your character, or was it mostly keeping things ambiguous or letting him tell you what your history was?
He really asked me to sort of contribute there, because there was obviously a limited amount of screen time to try to convey relationships and, history and things that were imperative for the story. But like you said, it's a jam-packed, action-packed movie. So there's not a lot of sort of like, let us tell you where we came from. But it was, so as we were talking about it, I said, well, let me explore with you, like what I think maybe Madeleine might have come from. And so we talked about the fact that she was probably raised in an orphanage. And I sort of felt like that was both her connection to kids, like that was who she bonded with very early in her life. And also her sense of sort of propriety came from that. And that therefore she would also have this sort of innate love of literature and the library, and perhaps that she had actually sworn off of violence, and it's not until a child comes into the library that she will stop at nothing. And so those were all things for me that were important to kind of convey, because I also felt like we're doing a story where you have librarians. We also have to have a character that represents like how magical libraries are, and that sort of larger than life feeling. And for sure, our set designer and production designer were so amazing. And so that library is all on a stage. And that when you walked into that set, you were just blown away. So yeah, so there was definitely, things that emerged from that or that conversation are things like, I felt like Madeleine would say, like, not only do you need books with guns in them, but also one to read, those kind of things. So, yeah.
And as far as crafting your character and putting your own unique spin on it, is there a certain trait about Madeleine or maybe even a scene that you pulled off that like you're especially proud of that you managed to work in there?
Well, I think it was just about trying to convey a clear person that you could understand and that you could, for a lot of reasons, it's really important that you fall in love with Madeleine. And so it was about sort of like how we could find those moments that are really endearing about her. And one thing I find endearing about her, that I wanted to convey, and I'm glad it came across in the movie, is this thing where when Sam, Karen Gillan's character, comes in, she does not want to be interrupted in the middle of her sentence while she's reading. And to me, that kind of says everything about Madeleine.
Yeah. Well, and as far as the production is concerned, again, there are scenes where there's high intensity action, but then there's also just you bouncing off of Michelle Yeoh and Angela Bassett. Like, do you have a particular favorite scene to shoot in the film?
Yeah, there's a lot of good dry humor. I think, we really just had kind of a blast. I will say, I mean, working with all of the women was extraordinary. I also, for me, there was an interesting thing that came about with the tomahawk fight sequence, because, he and I were able to, first of all, it's so wonderful. The actors across the board were just exceptional. So that one was interesting because it's the one sequence action wise where it really slows down. It's like right after, the huge Janis Joplin explosion. I mean, there's, and so there's this kind of, so it almost was more like a conversation than a fight. And that was really interesting to play a fight like a conversation. And with every blow, you're sort of saying something. So that was actually a really fun one to play.
Now, I know it's early, since the film hasn't actually been released to the public yet, but for my reaction and colleagues who have seen it, we love it and we can't get enough of it. And we hope there's 10 more of these films. So has there been any sort of rumbling of like maybe seeing more Madeleine in any sort of like spin-off or prequel, or is it?
Oh, well, no, there's been lots of people have certainly talked about, is there a prequel? Is there a sequel? Is there a librarian's offshoot? Is there a this or that? So the nice thing is, I don't know. I think it will be determined very much by how it's received. But for sure, it is the tip of the iceberg in terms of exploring these characters. And there's so many places to go with it. So, and we all love each other. So it would be really fun to do some variation and get to keep going with these characters.
Well, if I have a say in things, this is merely the beginning, and I am a real big leaguer when it comes to franchise action cinema.
I feel that about you. I do.
Thank you. I don't like to, brag. So I'm glad you picked up on it. And you're no stranger to, like these big spectacle kind of like superhero-y stuff, with Watchmen. Obviously you did the Sin City, which is a little bit more of a different comic book adaptation. Have you done kind of like your work in that realm and now you're looking more towards the Gunpowder Milkshake, like original properties? Or do you think there's still an opportunity in the future? Like, is there still another superhero movie for Carla at some point?
Absolutely, there is. I mean, I feel like to me, it's all about the character and the people I'm collaborating with. And if that were to come about as in a superhero movie, like I would love to. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done that. So I would be totally in for that. And I do also love original material. I mean, I think clearly we're in a world where we're, sort of rebooting so many things that I do feel refreshed when there's a new story. There's absolutely no question about that. I did a show called Jet that just actually came on to HBO Max, where I play a thief, and it's very Elmore Leonard influenced crime show, and it's also Giancarlo Esposito and Jodie Turner-Smith and a bunch of just great people in it. But that was also one where it feels very iconic, but it's totally original. So I think when you can do that, it's great. But yeah, in the same way that Shakespeare has done many times, like if we can keep reinventing and making things great, then it's worth doing them.
And lastly, since this is Gunpowder Milkshake coming out on Netflix, and you've worked with Netflix with Mike Flanagan, 2 seasons of Hill House and Gerald's Game. I know Mike has said season 3 of Hill House or The Haunting rather seems kind of doubtful. Are you at all, kind of like tugging his sleeve like, hey, come on, let's do another one? Or is it like, oh no, that's fine. I'll just keep being in everything you do. And it doesn't have to be a Haunting series.
Well, yes, I'm not attached to what it is, but we do really, really love to collaborate together. So I think, yeah, I'm excited about what we get to delve into next, whether it be another Haunting or something else. But yeah, I think, it's always so hard as an audience, and I relate too, because I'm an audience for things that I'm not in, and it's like, it's hard because you get invested and you love these things, but I think the thing that we also should remember in terms of supporting and being excited is like, for an artist, if you look at like Dylan or anyone, you look at like any great artist, they're always going to have to go like, okay, now I'm done with that chapter because I want to remain great and keep
right.
better. You know what I mean? So whether he is done or not done, I don't know. But I think no matter what, if there wasn't a third one, it would be because he thinks whatever is next is better. And if he can make that one great, then that'll be the thing. So.
Well, Carla, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Again, you are such a badass and just cementing yourself in the annals of badassery with Gunpowder Milkshake, and obviously in the upcoming Librarians, the Madeleine spinoff. So
there you go.
Can't wait to see all of it.
We're going to be talking to you about that soon.
Yeah, can't wait. We'll hop on in like 2-3 months, and that'll be great. Thanks so much.
Have a great day.